You are listening to Dark Conversations, where we talk about the things that keep us up at night.
Where horror, paranormal, and crime collide together. Nothing's ever quite what it seems.
Tonight, we're stepping into the dark, so turn your lights off.
Get comfortable and
Let's dive into the abyss.
Okay, so this is episode 12. Welcome back. Our draw was the Tulsa Theater and what it used to be, and celebrity killers.
There is actually not a lot of celebrity killers.
That you know of.
Yes, that we know of.
There's no way that not one of them is not a killer.
But I couldn't find any.
I only have 3 people, but I have a little bit of my own little thing to them, I think. You want to go first?
The couple of people that I have is Jane Mansfield. She was an actress. She was allegedly tied to LA crime circles and dangerous individuals. The tabloid stories and gossip magazines of the 1960s claim she attended parties with people later suspected in violent or criminal activities. She was highly visible celebrity, and rumors suggested that she had knowledge of underworld activities in Hollywood, but no evidence of involvement in murders existed. The next person I have is Charlie Manson. And all of his victims and everything. But we all know, Charlie Manson,
well, technically,
he's not...
in technical terms, he's not a serial killer.
He just convinced a lot of people to murder.
No, he's a cult leader is what he is. To me, he's more like an occult type and not he went to go set up a thing and go murder people type. I know everyone says he's a serial killer, but he's more of a cult leader.
That is true, yeah. I guess I had only 2.
Mine. Now, these are just speculations and rumors. There is no true evidence of this to take place so take it with a grain of salt. All alleged. I wanted to do a conspiracy ones more because the first one that I'm about to tell you is what caught my attention and what made me want to write this down. I'm not saying his first name, but we all know the last name, Brooks. So I know I don't know it. It all started as a joke. But then some fans started looking into more tour dates, and every single thing lined up to a missing person or an unsolved homicide that happened at the same time as his concerts were going on. In an interview, he got asked if he would ride a bull, and he said, "I would rather kill someone instead of riding a bull." And that is how it all started. Someone did research on his tour dates to the missing people, and they came up with 120 people, and they did eliminate if it sounds suspicious. Some example is this girl attended the same college as Brooks did, and they were only a couple of houses from each other, and she all of a sudden came up missing. And then he worked at a boot barn, and 3 people near that place went missing as well. Most of the people would be close by the place he played at or at the exact location. When he first got his big check, he didn't buy a car. He didn't buy what people buy when they get their checks. He bought a lot of land with nothing on it. And he didn't buy a house to go on it. He didn't build a house. So that made everyone kind of a little suspicious on that. And then in that same area, there was a lot of spikes of missing people reported. People believe that he killed people and put them on his land. Now he does have a house on that land.
Yeah, him and his wife.
See, and it said that he put the house on top of all the graves, so they're pretty much under his house now. It's weird. That's always came up. So my other one, I'm doing the same thing, but I will tell you what his first name is. Well, hang on. First on the Brooks one, what do you think?
I think so, maybe. I don't know. I really like...
I have little things at the end, but what do you think? Do you think he did it or not?
I don't know too much about him to say yes or no. That's the whole thing. I've only ever listened to his music.
Okay. Well, my next person is, we're going to call him Benjamin.
Okay.
Okay.
He's definitely a murderer.
Why do you say that?
All of those old men are old murderers. All of the, America was built on blood.
Okay, well, in 1776, he lived in London for a few years. Then he moved back to America in 1998. What? It's supposed to say 1778. In London, they wanted to make his house that he lived in into a museum. So they started to renovate. And while they were renovating, they were digging in the area underneath the house to the foundation, they found another secret room, and it had no windows, and they found 15 skeletons. Or they tested the bodies, and it was from the same time period, but people say it was anatomy school that his friend was doing. But at this time, it was illegal, so they had to grave rob to do this instead of trying to put pretty much doing the autopsy thing as a secret thing.
Mhm.
And instead of going back to put the bodies back, they just kind of hid it away in their house.
Ew.
And that is why there's I guess that is why people think he is a serial killer.
Which he probably is. I mean, hello.
That's kind of what I'm saying. I'm like, well, there is no evidence he didn't. There's no evidence he did.
And we all know how dark the history is.
And back then, I'm sure you can get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there wasn't no CCTV.
CCTV cameras.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything was hearsay. Okay, you ready for my next one?
Yeah.
This one, everyone also knows this one, but we're going to call him Bob. This one is kind of funny to me, but he paints where he's killed someone at and location that the victims' bodies are at. So one example is he painted something at someone's wedding, painted the landscape of the wedding. Police found a body in the same area that he painted.
Well, that one's not that.
Yeah, and that was the first time that happened. In another painting, he is painting a cabin by the river, and he said maybe why he's painting, because you know he does those little videos things and
Happy
he talks
little
to you.
accident.
Yeah. So he says maybe there was a trapper that lived there, and he went down by the river to check his beaver traps, and maybe he fell in, but who knows? He said that in the video.
I've seen every single episode.
Then in the same video, he said, we need a door for the cabin. It's easier to get in. It's hard climbing through the window sometimes.
But if you haven't watched Bob, you don't understand his humor. That is his humor. I don't agree with this one.
Well, that's all I have, like, details on each of them. But I know these are speculations, but it would be really wild if these were true.
It would be.
Like, what if Brooks was an actual serial killer? Now, I wouldn't doubt a celebrity was a serial killer. And because they have money, they can get away with it a lot better. Because all they have to do is give hush-hush money.
Also, on the whole Bob thing, I did always find it weird that he was like, happy little accident. Maybe most of his things were happy little accidents.
I mean, they could have been. It's like, oh, I accidentally killed you.
My bad. My bad.
So, I mean, the police are corrupt, so they can just pay them off. And the LA, which brings me to this little thing, which we'll probably do a deep dive next season. But in the LA area, there's a person that did the Black Dahlia. Everyone knows who did it, but they're not going to do anything about it because they got paid off. But what if Benjamin didn't hide the bodies for a friend and actually killed these people? Like,
he's a serial killer.
Maybe he killed them and let his friend do anatomy on them. They're like, oh yeah, I robbed the grave.
Happy little accident.
But of course, you know, you never know. We weren't there. We didn't hear it. We didn't see it.
I wish they would invent time travel, though.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Like secret time travel where you can like float above everything and like just watch.
Like you won't like interfere with anything, but you're like, oh, I knew it.
Yeah. I mean, he is a very well-known figure in our history, and no one wants to believe that anything like this can happen to someone like that. But with the way the whole Epstein whole thing is coming out and the names of certain celebrities, it's like anything is possible.
Yes.
Even with that, when the Epstein files came out, a lot of people still didn't believe certain celebrities had anything to do with it, even though they were on the list. So.
Like right now, did you hear that a bunch of comedians got together on Netflix and they did like a Netflix special and they were dragging Kevin, and they were like, here's the thing, Kevin can come out and say that he didn't do anything on the Epstein list, but
I believe it. You seen how fast he got like big?
Well, that's what they were saying. They said he might say it, but it's his actions when it's brought up that tells you that he did something wrong. And then they played like a clip of him and he was like quickly like, no, or something like that. and like it's a big thing that like it was all about roasting Kevin Hart because he wasn't there.
Well, he got big for
He's
out of nowhere.
not even that good.
I mean, the first
I like some of it.
The first one and the second one he's done, those were really good. After that, it's pretty much the same thing over and over. Now, the whole other thing is, what if Bob really did kill people and he was painting where he buried the bodies? That's almost like trophies to a serial killer. Painting it, and then no one would really know.
No.
But that one, to me, is not that far-fetched, like the Brooks one, because a lot of people tour. He has way too many tours. He's done way too many things for it to be a small number.
He could have just had a serial killer who really liked him and was like, well.
A roadie serial killer.
Hey, that is not far-fetched.
That is not far-fetched. But, I mean, they could say that about a lot of musicians if they wanted to. I mean, they mainly play all at the same place. And especially in the cities, a lot of people go missing, like, almost, I'm pretty sure, like, once a day at least, someone goes missing. You're going to look it up?
Yes, I am. How often do people go missing in cities? If my FBI agent is looking at my stuff, it did this for, like, the entire United States. Every day, 2,300 people go missing in the United States.
So, sometimes I will say, what you say in the moment will definitely sound weird to others and make you look suspicious, because that's what happened to Brooks.
Everything I say always makes me look suspicious and stupid.
You will look suspicious at the time. There can be a conspiracy formed, like, in minutes, and rumors started.
It's what are from this theme that we have done this season, it's very much, you gotta watch what you say, because
you can look like a serial killer.
You can look like a serial killer. You could look stupid. You could get accused of
being a serial killer. Well, that's all we have on the celebrity killers.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next topic is the Tulsa Theater and what the town used to be. Now, I first was told about the Tulsa Theater. I honestly thought it itself had a problem.
I did too.
Not the town, but it's the town.
And it's very dark.
Yes. Rose and Peterson from Kansas built this theater for people to go to that were in between places. So they didn't have to go very far. It was the convention hall when it was built in 1912. Then the Tulsa Municipal Theater in 1952. The new owner took over and named it the Brady Theater in 1979. Then changed to the Tulsa Theater in 2019. Theater and Convention Hall located in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was originally completed in 1914. It got remodeled in 1930 and 1952. The building was used as a detention center for black men during the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. Now that is what the theater is about. So we're really going to be talking about more of the town, well, I am, than the theater. It is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and remains in use as a theater to this day. The theater was previously named after W. Tate Brady, but was renamed in 2019 due to Brady's affiliation with the Ku Klux Klan. KKK.
Why'd you say it like that?
Because it felt like something had to go there. I looked up who Brady was, and he is a businessman, and he promoted the Tulsa's oil boom when it happened. I'm sure there was a lot more going on with this, but not documented. They tried to cover up some things that happened in Tulsa, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was more that they covered up and successfully covered up. That's all I could find about the theater, to be honest. I really didn't. I was more interested in the whole Tulsa Massacre than the theater itself. But it is said to be haunted by ghosts, and of course that's pretty cool. Just said I'm going to turn this into talking into the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, but a lot of people call it Tulsa's Race Riot instead, which makes more sense than the massacre, because it was more of a riot, and any riot you're going to have deaths. So the riots occurred over 18-hour span from May 31st to June 1st, which, of course, when you just look at the months, that sounds like a long time, but it's literally just in between those days. A white mob attacked residents' homes and businesses in the Greenwood neighborhood of Tulsa. The event remains one of the worst incidents of racial violence in the U.S. history, and for a period remained one of the least known news reported thing that happened. Despite the fact that hundreds of people were killed and thousands left homeless, they tried to cover it up the best they could, and it wasn't successful. But a lot of people actually didn't know about this. And eventually people were finding mass graves from this event, and they did report on it at first. Well, then they started to silence the media and never mention it again and tried to make it disappear. That's why for the longest time, no one knew about the race riot that happened. So Tulsa was also a highly segregated city. Most of the city's 10,000 black residents lived in a neighborhood called Greenwood, which included a thriving business district, sometimes referred to as the Black Wall Street. The short video I watched talked about how it got started. Let's get into it. So Roland was a shoe shiner at a white business. The owner made arrangements to let his employees walk down to a building that had colored bathrooms. And when he got into the elevator, the operator of the elevator, her name was Sarah Page, something happened on the elevator, but she screamed. What she says happened, he's saying didn't happen. He said that he accidentally either tripped on her shoe or kind of scuffed her shoe, but he touched her shoe. That is not what she reported.
Which, in that time, he probably did just touch her shoe.
Something happened on the elevator, but she screamed, and he ran out. And then she told the police that the man just assaulted her on the elevator, and the headlines came out the next day saying, I quote, "Nab Negro for attacking girl in elevator." And that is what was on the newspapers the next day. Now, Roland did get put in jail, but whites gathered around the building, and it started small. Then it turned into about 50 people, then hundreds, and they were all demanding they turn him over to them. Everyone in Greenwood started to hear about what was happening. In the World War I, the soldiers put their uniforms on and grabbed their rifles in their hands and then marched up to the courthouse saying they're there to help defend the prisoner, and the police chief told them not to worry, he is safe, we got this. The soldiers leave the courthouse after being told that guy was safe, but then the whites had a cow with how all those black men came up to the courthouse with their guns, and of course, they're soldiers, so of course they're going to show their guns, be like, yeah, I got this. So then the whites decided, you know what, I'm going to go home. So they went home, grabbed their guns, and came back. And then after that small group did that, even more people joined them. So then it turned into what looked like thousands. And then the blacks gathered up as well, because now they don't want things to happen that shouldn't happen. So they're just pretty much defending their people.
Yeah.
The blacks gathered up as well because they knew there was about to be a lynching, and they didn't want it to happen again. Then during the waiting around to see who was going to make the first move, some white guy goes to a colored man asking why he has a gun and tries to take it from him. Then they fight over getting the gun, and then a fire was shot, then more shots were fired, and then it turned into a whole bloodbath after that. That's something they don't want you to know by how many was reported dead. As dawn broke on June 1st, thousands of white citizens poured into the Greenwood district, looting and burning homes and businesses over an area of 35 city blocks. Firefighters who arrived to help put out the blaze, and then later testified that the riots had threatened them with guns and forced them to leave. But is that really true? Why are you going to let them decide on how you're going to do your job? Like, I understand they don't have guns themselves, they're the fire department, but couldn't you just use your hose to water them all down and then their guns would get ruined? Because, I mean, this was
the 20s, like they still had gunpowder they didn't have.
I don't know, but according to a later Red Cross estimate, some 1,256 houses were burned. 215 were looted, but not torched, and a lot of property was destroyed. By the time the National Guard arrived and the Governor Robertson had declared Myrtle's Law shortly before noon, the riot had effectively ended. After the riots were over, they came to the conclusion that Roland accidentally bumped into her, stepped on her foot when the elevator jerked, and then they let him go, and he left the town and never returned back to Tulsa. Which, no offense, I wouldn't either.
No.
The estimated death was 36 deaths. That's what they reported, was just 36. And then they tried to cover up, but historians suspect about 300 people have died.
Yeah, it was
There's
massive.
no way that just a little bitty amount died.
You burning buildings like that and you were only reporting like 300, there's no way.
So scholars began to dive deeper into the story of the riot in the 1970s after its 50th anniversary had passed. In 1996, on the riot's 75th anniversary, a service was held at the Mount Zion Baptist Church, which rioters had burned to the ground in 1921, and a memorial was placed in front of Greenwood Cultural Center. See, what I don't understand is why they wanted to cover up this so bad. I mean, I understand it's very bad history.
Mm-hmm. But honestly,
but we have a lot of bad history that we still talk about to this day in history books in school. Why is this not talked about?
There's something more to it than just what they're saying. There has to be.
There probably is. I wouldn't doubt that at all.
Because while, yes, it's pretty bad, the worst thing that's ever happened in American history or even history.
So, out of all of this, it all started because a woman accused a man of something he didn't do, and the papers took the headlines and ran with it. And because of that, it started the riots and all the deaths that now cover the town of Tulsa.
All because a woman was like, oh no, he touched me.
Yeah, just because a white woman said a colored man touched her.
Which, no, don't get me wrong,
And
it can happen. Look at our day and age. But this is why we say you have to bring evidence and proof because you're going to start a riot. The hauntings.
I think you said you had more of it.
You went over everything. Okay, so I have not very much. Bird has went through everything that even I had. So the only thing that I have is, actually, I'm going to go back just a little bit because I have the long-term effects of what happened. So theaters and other entertainment venues were not rebuilt in Greenwood for decades. Loss of economical and cultural hubs contributed to the trauma that still resonates today. Through the 1920s to the 1960s, segregation and restrictions, so I have those. Many Tulsa theaters were segregated at the time. I know that it's more than just the theaters, but like that's what we wanted and that's what I went down. So some of the entrances that they had were colored only and they were in back alleyways and stuff like that. Some of these theaters during Prohibition became hotspots for illegal gambling and alcohol sales, which happened a lot in Prohibition.
Yeah, which is why there's secret tunnels everywhere.
Back entrances and basements were used for organized crime meetings. That still happens today. Suburban malls and multiplex cinemas drew audience away from the downtown theaters. So those like hometown theaters that we all have, they started closing down in about the 60s and the 70s. Many historic theaters closed or fell into disrepair or were condemned from that time. Abandoned theaters became associated with urban decay, squatting, and petty crime. The reports from these abandoned theaters are shadows moving in hallways, unexplained footsteps and whispers, cold spots, objects moving. Over time, ghost stories developed around both Greenwood area theaters and the downtown venues of Greenwood. So the Greenwood ruins, there's whispers, shadowy figures, ghostly crowds in 1920 attire. Kane's Ballroom and other historic venues, there's flickering lights and cold spots and phantom footsteps. In some of the abandoned theaters, there's unexplained noises, chairs moving, feelings of being watched. You can actually have ghost tours in Tulsa that go through all of these areas.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So we might have to do that. Spirits of massacred victims linger near destroyed theaters. Former employees or Patreons replaying of the events. So sometimes with paranormal stuff like this, when a tragedy happens that's so horrific, it leaves an imprint. It might not be like a real haunting, it is just an imprint of what happened that night, and it's just replaying it over and over and over again. Some theaters have been renovated into performing arts venues, hosting concerts, Broadway shows, and community events. So some of those places have been updated. Efforts have been made to preserve historic architectural while creating modern safe space. When we drew this and we started talking about it, and I remember looking at Bird and going, this is a lot more horrific than what I thought it was. While, like I said earlier, it is not one of the most tragic things that happened in American history, it's still pretty tragic. A lot of people lost their lives because a woman decided that the color of a man's skin gives her the right to, and that doesn't, no.
Is that all you had?
You
Well, we
had
still have time, so.
you had all of, like,
Okay, well, we can go into our secret draw. So my secret draw is scariest places in different states. Now, I did not do all states, no.
you have to do all 50.
No, that was going to be way too long.
51? Is there 51 or 50 states?
I am not telling you.
Do you even know?
Yes.
It's 50, isn't it? 51? Oh my god.
It's 50.
How many states? It's 50! I was correct!
You said 51! Oh my goodness. I whispered into the mic my answer.
Oh.
Anyways.
I didn't know if it was 51 or 50, okay? I'm sorry.
They are in ABC order, but I do not have all of them. So let's start with Arkansas.
She likes to say Arkansas. You should see how she says Missouri.
So the Crescent Hotel is located in Kansas. I'm in Arkansas, my bad. Sorry, rewind, time out, backtrack. The Crescent Hotel is located in Arkansas. It is a Victorian hotel. It's 130 plus years old. It's said to used to be a women's college and a hospital. I didn't say how they were haunted or anything like that, I don't think, but that'd be nice to go visit some of these places. The next place is located in California at the Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, which I really want to go see that one.
I do too.
It opened in 1934. It closed 30 years later, and there is a lot of eerie things about this place, but the most famous story is about the 3 guys that escaped. The next one is in Colorado. You can guess, the Stanley Hotel. Woo-hoo! Which I visited that place once. I loved it. I want to go back. I actually want to stay the night next time I go see it.
Let's go! Road trip. You guys want to go on a road trip with us? Visit all these places? You have to subscribe.
More like that's when you do Patreon.
Yeah, I guess we could do a Patreon.
This hotel inspired the Stephen King to write
The Shining.
Why did you say it like that?
Because I wasn't too sure. I knew it was one movie.
It's over 100 years old. It's very haunted. Guests can book a room called the Spirit Room with an option. Well, I mean, that is one of the options. The other option is 217, and that's the same room that Stephen King stayed in. There was another room that you can also book that is the most haunted room. That might be the most haunted room. I can't remember. I know there's another room that is famous that people like to go stay in. But a lot of people have encounters there, and it's pretty cool. Turns out you can actually get married there, too. I almost did it.
I don't know if I would have been able to go, but...
See, that's why we didn't do it. It's because we knew, like, no one would go, and I'm like, why would I pay this much money for no one to go? The next one is located in Iowa. It is the Alaska's Axe Murder House. 8 people were murdered in their sleep in 1912. And that case remains unsolved. And you can make reservations to stay the night there.
Ooh.
Yeah, which I would like to do. And a lot of these places are very far away, and I absolutely hate driving. I already have to do that to go visit my husband, because he turfs, so we get to go visit him.
That's why we're sometimes behind on episodes, because she leaves and she abandons us.
I do not abandon y'all.
She abandons us, guys, like, all of the time.
Sorry, my husband's more important to go visit. So the next location is in Massachusetts, which is Lizzie Borden's house, which I always wanted to visit that one. In 1892, there was murders of 2 people happened in the house, one upstairs and one on the couch, actually. And he was sleeping when it happened. The case is technically unsolved, but some believe Lizzie Borden was the killer. And now it is turned into a bed and breakfast, and I want to
go. I don't believe she did it. I believe she had a hand in it, but I don't believe she did it alone.
I don't know. Like, when I did research on her, by the sounds of it, by what I I think her uncle did it because he arrived, he was there for so long, and then he left, and no one knew where he went. So he pretty much like disappeared.
Yeah. It also kind of seemed like a Cinderella type story where her like stepmother kind of hated her. And
Well, my next location is in New York, which is very obvious, the Amityville house, which I also want to visit that house too.
I don't know if I want to visit that one.
Or are you scared?
What if we come back with a demon? I already have a ghost.
In 1974, when Ronald DeFeo killed his whole entire family, then a year later, new owners moved in and they stayed for 28 days and they had to move out and left everything behind due to paranormal activity.
I love the pictures that they have of the Amityville Horror House.
The next location is here in Oklahoma, which is the Stone Lion Inn.
Didn't we talk about that in one episode, I think?
Yes.
It's in Guthrie.
You can spend the night there. They also do a murder mystery, and it's a bed and breakfast. The next location is in Rhode Island, which is the Harrisville Haunting. This is also the real Conjuring house. After the movie came out, the owners were mad because the fans wanted to see it, and they damaged property, and they would go onto the property. They sold it. And the person that bought it decided to make it a bed and breakfast type, and you could go in and do investigations and stuff, and they will even do investigations with you.
Mm-hmm. I do know you have to sign a waiver.
I don't know if they already sold it, but I know they're in the process of selling it because it's taken a big toll on them. So,
which is understandable if there's a demon in there.
There is a lot more places that I've seen on TV that I wouldn't to go to. Anyway, from what Zach Bagans has done to Portals to Hell. And then I've seen some YouTubers that I would like to go, like places they went that I would like to go to. That'd be cool. But it does take time and money, and I don't have any of those.
Neither do I.
But maybe eventually.
Maybe this will be our key.
Maybe.
I want to go to the Winchester house.
So do I. Okay, our next topic.
Women serial killers.
Now it's the women serial killers.
My first one I have is Elaine Warnos. I don't really know how to pronounce the name.
Eileen Warnos.
Well, looks like...
Oh my god. She's the most famous woman serial killer.
Her nationality is American. She was active from 1989 to 1990. She killed 7 victims, and she did that on the Florida highways, claiming self-defense against attempted rape, and she used guns to kill them. I meant rape. Elaine grew up in a troubled environment in Michigan, experiencing sexual abuse and family instability. By adolescence, she was homeless and involved in prostitution. Moving from state to state between 1989 and 1990, she murdered 7 men she met along Florida highways. Eileen claimed self-defense, stating that the men had attempted to assault her. Her killings were brutal, often leaving victims shot multiple times. Eileen's life and crimes became widely publicized due to the unusual nature of a family highway serial killer. In 2003, the film Monster dramatized her story, highlighting her psychological struggles and abusive past. She was convicted and executed by lethal injection in 2002. Her case sparked debates about gender, mental illness, and the criminal justice system, as some argued that her abuse, history, and social marginalization contributed to her crimes. She is one of the most infamous female serial killers in American history, as Bird said. My second one is Dorothy Ponte. Her nationality is American. She was active from 1982 to 1988. She killed 9 people. She poisoned the elderly and disabled tenants at her Sacramento boarding house, then stole their Social Security checks. She grew up in a turbulent family environment in the 1920s and 30s. She had a criminal record by her teens, including theft and fraud. In the 80s, she operated a boarding house in Sacramento, California, taking in elderly and vulnerable tenants. Dorothy presented herself as a kind, grandmotherly woman while secretly murdering tenants for financial gain. She poisoned her victims with sedatives and buried their bodies in her yard. Her crimes were uncovered when investigators noticed missing tenants and discrepancies in Social Security payments. The 1990 trial revealed shocking details of her manipulation and deception. Dorothy's case highlighted the dangers of abuse and trust in caregiving roles. She was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison, dying in 2011. Her story fascinated the public because of her unassuming appearance and the cold, calculated nature of her crimes, reinforcing the idea that female killers can hide in plain sight. The next one I don't want to say because I feel like you're going to make fun of me because I know exactly who this is. I just can't pronounce her name. Belle Guinness. She's a Norwegian American. She was active from 1884 to 1908. She killed 14 to 40 people. They do not know the exact number, but it's anywhere between that. She murdered husbands, suitors, children for insurance money, and she lured men to her farm. I'm pretty sure if we looked into it more, that movie that you like, Maxine, could have been based off of her. Anyway.
I don't think it was.
Belle immigrated from Norway to the United States in the late 19th century, settling in Indiana. She lived in poverty initially, marrying several men over the years, many of whom died mysteriously. Guinness became infamous for murdering suitors' husbands and possibly her own children for insurance payouts. Her method involved poisoning or bludgeoning her victims, sometimes burying them on her farm. Guinness disappeared after a fire destroyed her home in 1908, leaving speculations about her fate. Authorities discovered the bodies of numerous people on her property, leading to her recognition as one of the first notorious female serial killers in America. Her crimes were sensationalized in newspapers, painting her as a cold, calculating woman who used charm and domesticity to lure her victims. Guinness' story also reflects the historical context of the time, when women were expected to be domestic caretakers, making her actions both shocking and taboo for contemporary society.
So mine, first one I have is Delphine Lalaurie. She lived in New Orleans and killed a lot of people in her house, but no one realized any of this was going on until a fire happened, and everyone seen the gruesome act that lied inside the house. Now, I did visit her house. I walked on the sidewalk, and I have a video of it, only because of American Horror Story.
The next one that I have, are you done?
Yeah, that's it. I don't have very much of any of these.
Look, I did a lot of research on my...
You don't really do research.
I don't. Jane Topin is my next one. She's American. She was active from 1895 to 1901. She killed 31 people. She was a nurse who poisoned the patients with morphine and atropine for a sexual thrill. Jane was born in Honorary Kelly in Massachusetts. She grew up in an abusive household, later taken in by relatives. She trained as a nurse, giving her access to patients. Topin's killings were primarily motivated by a sadistic sexual pleasure rather than the financial gain. She experimented with drugs, learning how to administer lethal doses of morphine and atropine. Her victims ranged from elderly patients to children in her care, often killed under the guise of a medical treatment. Topin's cheerful and warm demeanor earned her the nickname Jolly Jane, concealing her dark urges. After her confession, she admitted to 31 murders and was deemed insane, spending the rest of her life in a mental institution. Topin's crimes revealed the potential for medical knowledge to be weaponized and highlighted early forensic challenges in detecting female serial killers, particularly in caregiver roles. Her case remains a key study in psychological criminology and gender perceptions of criminality. Laurandra Cianciulli. She's Italian. She was active from 1939 to 1940. She killed three people. She murdered women, dismembered them, used their remains in soap and baked goods. She is known as the soap maker of Correggio. She was born in 1984 in Italy. Her family life was marked by tragedy when her mother died during childbirth and many of her children dying young. She was believed to have a curse and that killing would protect her only surviving son. Between 1939 and 1940, she lured women into her home, killed them, and used their remains in soaked and baked goods, which she sold or gave to friends. She was arrested after neighbors reported disappearances and police found human remains in her home. Her crimes caused national shock due to the gruesome nature and her seemingly ordinary persona. She was sentenced to 30 years in prison, later spending time in a mental institution. The next one I have is another one that I really am going to try and pronounce, but I'm so sorry. Hanna Barraza. She's Mexican. She was active from 1998 to 2006. She killed anywhere from 16 to 42 people. She strangled elderly women known as the little old lady killer, or there's something in Spanish that I'm not going to try and pronounce because I'm whiter than white and it will sound awful. She was a former professional wrestler known as La Dame del Silencio. She grew up in poverty and experienced abuse in childhood. She later became a gym instructor, often working with elderly clients. Between 1998 and 2006, she lured elderly women to their homes under the guise of offering help or companionship, then strangled them with her bare hands or improvised ligatures. Her motives were partially psychological. She reportedly harbored resentments toward older women stemming from her mother's abuse. Bizarra's killings were meticulous, leaving little evidence, which allowed her to evade capture for years. Her arrest in 2006 revealed that she had killed between 60 and 42 women, many of whom were living alone. She was convicted in 2008 and sentenced to 759 years in prison. Her story remains a chilling example of how trauma and societal neglect can contribute to the emergence of a female serial killer.
And all three?
That's all three.
My next one is Eileen Wuornos. She's the first American female serial killer, and she's killed men that tried to go after her. She claims it was for self-defense, but some people believe she did it on purpose. It's one of those cases you'll have to do your own research, come up with your own opinion, because we were not there. We did not see it, and we did not hear it. Your turn.
My next one is Mary Ann Cotton. I can say that one. She's British. She was active from 1850 to 1872. She is suspected to have killed 28 people, but 8 are confirmed. She poisoned husbands, children, and lovers with arsenic for insurance money. She was born in 1832 in England, the illegitimate child of a miner and a maid. She grew up in a working-class environment, experiencing poverty and domestic hardship. Cotton was married multiple times, with many of her husbands dying mysteriously. She also poisoned her children and stepchildren, often claiming deaths were due to illness. Cotton's primary motive was financial gain, as she collected life insurance payouts on her victims. Her use of arsenic made the deaths appear natural, enabling her to kill multiple family members over decades. Authorities eventually investigated after the death of her last husband, noticing a suspicious pattern of death surrounding Cotton. She was arrested in 1872 and tried for murder. She was found guilty and executed by hanging in 1873. She remains one of the most notorious female serial killers in Britain. My next one is Nanny Doss. She's American. She was active from 1920 to 1954. She killed 11 people. She poisoned husbands, family members, and lovers with arsenic. She was born in 1905 in Kentucky. She was nicknamed the Giggling Granny due to her cheerful demeanor and friendly personality. Behind this facade, she was a serial killer who murdered 11 people, including 4 of her husbands, 2 children, her mother, sister, grandson, and a boyfriend, primarily using arsenic. Doss fought financial security and emotional satisfaction through these killings, often marrying men quickly and eliminating them when they were inconvenient. Her killing spree extended over decades, and she frequently moved to avoid suspicion. Authorities discovered her crimes in 1954 after suspicious patterns of death were uncovered in her family. Doss confessed to her crimes and expressed a mix of remorse and amusement. She was sentenced to life imprisonment and died in 1965. My next one is Velma Barfield. She's American. Years active was 1971 to 1978. 6 victims are confirmed. She poisoned family, friend, and elderly people she cared about with, you guessed it, arsenic. She was born in 1932 in South Carolina. She grew up in a rural, impoverished environment. She suffered abuse and later became addicted to alcohol. Between 1971 and 1978, she murdered 6 people, including a boyfriend, her mother-in-law, and elderly patients in her care, primarily using arsenic. Motive was financial gain. She was the first woman executed in the U.S. after the death penalty was reinstated in 1976. She was executed by lethal injection.
Is that it?
Yep, that was my 9th.
My next one is La Costa of Gale. She's the first known killer in the 1st century AD. She poisoned her victims, but she was hired to kill multiple people. Your turn.
My last one is Elizabeth Bathory. She's Hungarian. She was active in 1602 and 1610. She killed anywhere from 80 to 650 victims. She allegedly tortured and killed young girls, bathed in their blood to maintain their youth. This story fascinates me because It's so strange. She was born in 1560 to a powerful Hungarian noble family. She grew up wealthy and influential. She was highly educated for her time, learning multiple languages and receiving extensive training in horseback riding and martial arts. She was married at 15 and managed estates while her husband was away at war. Between 1602 and 1610, she allegedly lured young servant girls and peasants to her castle, tortured and murdered them. The legend claims she bathed in their blood to preserve youth, though some historians argue that political enemies exaggerated her crimes. Eventually, authorities investigated after complaints from local villagers, and the suspicious disappearance of young women. Bathory was convicted, but never formally tried. She was imprisoned in a fortified castle until her death in 1614. She became known as the Blood Countess, and remains one of the history's most infamous female serial killers, blending myth and historical fact. Her life reflects example of power, abuse of power, wealth, and social status. And her story has inspired countless books, films, and legends about female killers.
Well, as we can all tell, there's a lot of women that kill either their husbands or kids. But we're going to end off with Lizzie Borden. It really depends on how you think. You have to do your own research. We weren't there. We didn't see it. We didn't hear it. But she is accused of killing her dad and stepmother. Lizzie was acquitted for all charges, but the town didn't get over it. Lizzie and the maid were the only ones reported at the house. There is a rhyme that people have made about her, and it goes like this. Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. Her house is now a bed and breakfast, of course, like I just said. And this case is very fascinating with how everything is playing out. Maybe next season I'll do a whole deep dive on her. So our trivia question. Which well-known singer was murdered by Mark David Chapman? Tupac, Selena, John Lennon, or Marvin Gaye?
A.
I'm going with C. And it was C. John Lennon.
You know, this show is making me realize I'm not the brightest.
No, the show is making me realize that you don't know as much as you lead on about your true crime and horror.
I really don't. I know what I know, and that's it.
Please like and subscribe.
Hit the bell so you can get notifications when we post our episodes.
Thank you for listening to Dark Conversations.
Have a good night, and
keep your darkness at bay.
bye!